in South Jersey and in New Orleans, trying to feed people as COVID and other tropical storms and things like that hit Louisiana. There's a huge need for food insecurity, or there's food insecurity, and we're trying to get people fed. So we have an initiative, Feed the 504, where yesterday we fed 557 families with over 25,000 pounds of food through our partners with Winn-Dixie, Second Harvest Food Bank, and Broadmoor Improvement Association Pantry. And we're just encouraging people to continue to support the Malcolm Jenkins Foundation. They can donate at tmjf.org or directly to Second Harvest Food Bank or Broadmoor Improvement Association Pantry. What we're trying to do throughout the year is feed 504 families per month as we move throughout this year, and just all of the food insecurity that's going on. 1 in 4 children are dealing with food insecurity, and that is a huge piece. So open it up to questions.
All right, guys, the first question is going to be from Sam Shannon with NewOrleansSaints.com, and if you have any other questions for Malcolm, go ahead and type it in the chat, and I'll call on you. Sam?
Hey, Malcolm. Were you and your foundation able to receive feedback from the families on how they were positively impacted by yesterday's event?
Well, we've done things around food almost every year. We call it our Get Ready Fest, and this year is just a huge emphasis. And oftentimes, a lot of people are dealing with need, and being able to get those resources directly to them and bringing it to them, oftentimes helps. Sometimes people have trouble getting access to some of the resources that are out there, and that is especially significant and important at this time where people are dealing with unemployment, dealing with the stresses of COVID. Getting those resources directly to them is a huge help.
Thank you.
Next question is from Amos Morale.
Yeah, Malcolm, quick question about the charity. Because of COVID and the restrictions and everything, has that been more challenging to kind of, do these initiatives?
A little bit. I mean, there's a lot more logistically that you have to work out. And myself, I'm so used to being, directly hands-on, and haven't been able to do that, throughout the off season and of course now during the season. But that's why you have teams, and I think the foundation and all of our volunteers, Winn-Dixie, and our food pantries that we've been supporting have done a great job of facilitating this initiative to be able to get these resources to these families in need, because while it is tougher to connect and do these things logistically, the need is even more than it has been before. So it's important work.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
Hey, after the game, you mentioned a little bit about some of the issues you guys were having on defense, just getting stuff sorted out. Just having a couple days to look at it. Have you been able to pinpoint maybe a couple things just that might help with the eye discipline and making sure you guys are making the switches and stuff you need to make?
Yeah, I think it's really just being intentional about how we go about practice and the things that we're improving on week to week. I think as the dust settled and we had a few days to look at the tape and digest it, we were encouraged because we felt like we played with more energy and played faster than we did the week before. And there were definitely improvements, but there were 5 to 6 plays where we didn't have much discipline. We didn't do things that we wanted to do, and against a really good team and good quarterback, those things cost you. So it's about just narrowing down and fine tuning some of the finer details, tightening down the communication, making sure that we limit those plays.
For a veteran team that's played together for a while, I know you're kind of coming back in, but how does something like that get away from a team when it really hasn't been an issue the last couple of years with mostly the same guys?
Well, I mean, I'm the new guy in town, but those things you can't take for granted. Communication, eye discipline, things like that are not things that are just automatic. You got to continue to work at it, continue to change. And as defenses evolve and the intricacies of your defense evolve, so do those things, the communication. And so it's just something that we have to dive back onto because, like you said, this is a veteran group that's played together for a while, but sometimes those things happen.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, haven't had the chance to talk to you during the week since the season started. You are staying in the tunnel during the national anthem. Just wanted to ask you about your choice behind doing that and giving you a platform to comment on that.
Yeah, I just think there's too much, dialogue about the symbolism of the anthem, what's right, what's wrong, who's doing what, who's not doing what, and it takes away and distracts from the actual issues and calls to action that are very, very necessary right now. And so I don't want to participate in creating any kind of distraction.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
Malcolm, is there, you listed the causes, communication and the discipline, but is there one issue that is the one thing you think the defense or the secondary has to get fixed most in particular? It seems it's been kind of a rotating issues. It was the tight end in week 2, it was the deep pass in week 3. Are PI penalties standing out, or is there any one or two issues that are on the top of your must-fix list?
No, I think, there are plays here or there that I think the biggest thing we see is the communication and just making sure, for 80 plays, 90 plays, whatever it is, that for all of them, we have tight communication. We don't have these 5 or 6 plays that got away from us. But I think another thing just as a team that we're dealing with, and especially defensively, is penalties. But when we go back and watch a lot of them, especially some of the pass interference calls, it's really hard to coach the guys to do anything different. We don't want to slow ourselves down or stop competing. We just try to do it in a way that doesn't, draw a flag. So we're not going to slow, some of those calls we'll live with. We're not going to tell guys to stop competing. So the biggest thing that we can control is our communication and making sure that our eyes are disciplined in some of those play actions.
Also, the most interesting horse collar penalty you've ever seen?
Yeah, it's one of those you just have to, move on to the next. Those guys are human too, and so they miss them sometimes.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey Malcolm, you've been on the wrong side of it, fairly recently. I'm just wondering when Alvin's going as good as he's going right now, how hard is that for a defender to just try to be in his path?
Yeah, I mean it's. He showed, I think, last week, why he's such a danger, not only, as a running back, but out of the backfield as a receiver as well, just being elusive in open space. And it's really just looking effortless. I think that's what makes him such a special player. Obviously, he's been kind of the beating heart of our offense, and we'll continue to lean on him to make those plays.
Next one's from Fletcher Mackel.
I know you said you're the new guy kind of again on the block, but you were brought in here for your leadership. Do you feel like you have the pulse of the locker room of knowing when you have to make the fiery speech to yell or when you have to pat guys on the back? Do you feel like you kind of have an understanding of how to read the room through the difficult times, so to say?
Yeah, I think I'm still, getting a feel for it, but the thing that I noticed immediately with my arrival is that there's already, some really strong leadership here, and a lot of my role is really, allowing those guys to and assisting those guys in leading in the right direction. I don't think it's really necessary for me to come in and try to take over from a leadership standpoint, because I really believe in the leaders that we already have. I'm a complement and an additional veteran in the room that can give some good perspective. So. That responsibility is a shared one, but I definitely take a lot of pride and responsibility to handle the DBs, and that's one group that I think specifically on me there needs to be a better job of making sure that we're accountable to the team.
Next one's from Jeff Duncan.
Hey Malcolm, you've been a part of Sean Payton coach teams before, and these attention to detail items that are kind of cropping up with you all right now is really uncharacteristic of his teams. I know he made you all kind of delay your departure from Vegas to watch the tape, kind of address those issues early after the Raiders game. What's been his message to you all this week as you all get ready for the Lions?
We just move on to the next week. Our process never changes, right? If we believe in our process, that we're going to prepare during the week, do everything we need to do in practice, have a good game plan, trust each other, go execute, then the outcome, win or lose, shouldn't change your belief in the process. So while we haven't got the result that we wanted in the last 2 weeks, we're looking for areas of improvement. Did we get better in this place? And I think there are places that we've gotten better in, and there's places that we need to continue to work. And so that's what we'll do. All week, the coaches will come up with a game plan that puts the players in the best position to make plays. Players will digest that, make the communications, understand it, and then we'll go execute and see what the result is on Sunday.
All right, we have time for one more from Rod Walker. Rod?
And Malcolm, this is sort of, I guess, similar to what Jeff just asked, but is there a sense of urgency this week, you feel like, just with this team being 1-2 right now?
I think so, but the urgency is this is the next game and the only game that we have control over, and so we very much want to make sure that we put our best effort out on the field, and there's urgency every day to get better. So I don't think there's a sense of panic or anything like that or doubt, but we also understand this puts us almost a quarter of the way through the season. In a lot of these games, the season moves fast, games get away from you. You can't afford to drop ones, especially ones that you feel like you're supposed to win. So, there's definitely a little bit more urgency in getting things corrected, but far away from panicking.
Okay, we're all set. Thank you, Malcolm.
Cool.